everyone, Neville here from Icon Art Marketing. This morning I got a phone call from a friend who has decided to do a Christmas fair. They're a potter with a whole pile of works that they've been putting aside, things that were all little extras and odd bods that didn't fit their normal product range, and they want to take them out and turn them into money. This particular friend rang me and she said, I don't know how to sell my stuff direct. I use agents normally. Can you talk me through some tips and tricks to help me out? And I thought it was probably a really good time, as there'll be a lot of people in the next little while who are going to be out trying to sell their works who aren't familiar with the sales techniques and don't use them often enough. So here's a quick refresher if you're going to go into the marketplace and sell your work direct. Now, first off, one of the questions that you should be looking at before you start anything is the place I'm looking at selling good for my career? Is this a place that's going to actually enhance who I am and what I make over time, or is it going to get in the way? Quick fix for a few bucks can often cost you a lot in the long run. But if you've identified something that you want to do, you think that it's definitely good for you, it's going to fit with who you are and what you're about, great. Let's just move forward on that. So presentation is going to be the key for you. You want to make sure that the display you put together to show your work shows it off to its best. You want to make sure that you show yourself off to your best. Now that means if it's a very casual weekend market where everyone's in very much their relaxed clothing, dress appropriate for it. Make sure your shoes are comfortable. Simple thing, you're going to spend a lot of time on your feet. Don't live in your phone. Make sure that you're engaged in the process. You're there in the moment. Be there in the moment. Put the phone aside. Now, these are basic things, but they're very easy to overlook, and they're things that can create all sorts of problems for you when it comes to making sales. So, your presentation, you're relaxed. We're summer right now. Our summer stalls are wonderful fun. I'm going to make sure that I have a hat. I'm going to make sure that I've got sunscreen. I'm going to make sure that I'm comfortably dressed for the type of environment I'm in, and I'm appropriately dressed to reflect the people I'm talking to so that they're comfortable with me as well. The presentation of your product, now that very much depends on what it is you make, but you should always make sure that if it's fragile, if it's breakable, if it's something that, say for instance, as we were with my friend, it's pottery, check that your table is solid, take along a few little slithers of wood or chocks that you can put to stabilize and level things. Think about all that in advance so that when you get to your site, you're actually ready to be a salesperson and not a nervous person. Okay, so presentation also means how you prepare yourself mentally. Be prepared to tell stories about yourself. Be prepared to talk about your processes. If you don't want to tell people a specific way you make something, you don't have to. But have a little bit of an idea in your mind how you're going to overcome those things. Because you will find a lot of artists go to stalls and ask other artists questions because they want to learn and maybe sometimes copy. So have a sense of what you're prepared to share and how much you're prepared to tell people. So now you've got your mind right, you've kind of identified what you're going to wear, you should have an idea of what you're showing and how you're going to display it. The last thing that I want to talk about in presentation is your physicality, how you inhabit your space. If you're at a stall and you're busy trying to sell things and you're doing what you see so many people, they sort of stand out the front and they protect the stall in such a way that there's no welcome there. That's not going to work for you. You won't make sales. You will, however, move people along to the next stall where they'll sell and you'll watch it happen. So, shoulders back, relax yourself, get yourself comfortable, feet roughly the width apart of your shoulders, and hands to your side if you're just going to stand, and then relax. That simple change, just relaxing, will bring people into your stall. Don't stand in the middle of the stall, stand off to the side. If able, standing outside and positioning yourself near where they are so that you're looking in is a really good thing, because when there's nobody looking at your stall, it looks like somebody's looking at it, even if it's you. That physical presentation, you get roughly 2 seconds for people to decide whether or not they're going to talk to you, whether they want to talk to you, whether they feel safe talking to you. So that stance, getting it right, getting yourself comfortable, does 2 things. You're less likely to fidget, and you are more likely to have conversations that are open and friendly. The next thing is what to do with your hands. If you're a nervous person and you're a handy person, most of us who make tend to be busy with our hands. Our brains will be going, so our hands need something. Take the product, whatever it might be. Since we're talking about pottery, I'm going to stick with that for now. And a cloth. If you're just gently cleaning something, you can clean that thing all day. You can polish it, you can buff it. You can spend your time doing little things with something that makes you look busy. And a busy salesperson isn't a threat. Somebody standing waiting to jump on you makes you nervous. But also, this relationship building, this thing where I'm touching, holding, engaged in my product, it tells them that it's safe. It tells them that it's friendly. It tells them that I love what I do, because they can actually see these things. They might not be thinking about it, not even aware that they're building these assumptions, but they're assumptions that are valuable. Having a connection with what you're selling is really a wonderful way of endorsing it. The next thing is getting it into their hands. You want to be able to get them to touch, hold, or in some way get close to your work. So any conversation that you get going with them should involve, at some point, preferably early on, you inviting them to either have a closer look at the detail, feel the weight, feel the proportions, feel how smooth the glaze is, or how rough it is. Have a way of inviting them to hold it. Now, electronics people have known this for a very long time. In fact, cell phones would be an example at the moment of the new version of what the remote control was when that first came out. The salesperson only had to get the remote control in the hands of the person who felt they were important in a family, and they would be the ones who wouldn't want to give it back. They'd buy the whole TV. Cell phones, the same. Once you've swiped on the screen, had a bit of a play, your comfort is there, then away you go. If it's behind glass, people don't buy them. They need to touch, they need to engage. Well, the same with artwork. If you have please don't touch signs everywhere, you might as well tell them, go away, take your money somewhere else. You've got to give them control over the experience of feeling, engagement, of touching, holding. The weight adds value. If it's really light, then you can use that as a selling feature. So, personal presentation involves welcoming me in and then giving me something to hold if you can. Don't force it, but if you can, get them engaged in something they're looking at. Next thing is questions. If you're talking all the time, you're doing it wrong. People don't buy stuff from people who talk at them. They get pissed off with them. If you're talking all the time, they think you're lying. It's a worry. You want them to talk, so you have to ask questions, lots of questions. Not like a barrage of interrogation, but, is this the first time you've seen my work? Do you own any of my work? What size appeals to you? Could you help me out? I've got a question. I'm trying to do a little bit of a survey and I'd really appreciate your opinion. Do you think this one or this one's the better piece? You can engage them in a million different ways, but if you ask them questions that engage a response instead of a yes or no, you've got to try and find ways of getting them to actually respond with words. You're going to get there a lot quicker. So would you like to hold it and feel how heavy it is? Oh no, it's very fragile, I'm a bit nervous. No, look, it's perfectly safe. I'll hold half, you just feel that. Get them to touch. Does that surprise you how well that felt? Question. Engagement. So ask questions, lots of them. And remember that you have always the right and in fact the obligation to ask them if they want to buy it. It's part of the process. When you get them talking to you and you're asking questions and they're responding, then when you say, so do you want to take one of these home or shall I wrap it for you? How many do you want? Is this for a gift or for yourself? wonderful one this time of the year, because they will tell you, oh, I'm looking for a gift. So you think this will do the job? Do you want to spend this much or this much? They're all ways that you can engage a sale, and you're not pushing anyone. If you start thinking that being a salesperson is being pushy, you're doing it wrong again. But once you've built a rapport, you can actually go there quite easily, and you can start with that one. And do start with that one. If they've picked it up themselves, are holding it, and are looking around like they're looking for the salesperson, they don't want to hear your life story. They're actually likely to want to know either how much it is, because you haven't got the price showing, or whether or not they can own it. So if you see them holding that, you say, do you want to buy that? Now the final thing, the thing that people do make a mistake of very, very often, once you've made the sale, so they've said, yes, please, I'd like to buy it. They have not said, I want to be your lifelong friend and your best buddy. Stop talking. Shut up. People go into, gushiness sometimes, and they have a tendency to make it really awkward afterwards. So once they've made their purchase, you thank them very much for their custom. You make sure they get your card or your information so they can contact you again to make another purchase. Tell them you're going to be here next week, whatever it is. So you make an informal invitation to do business again. Thank them very much and let them go. I have literally watched people walk out to people's cars following them after a purchase because they are so excited that this person said nice things about their work. That's a lovely, lovely feeling to have, but it can totally put off your customers. Right, so let's go through them. Presentation. We're going to look at who we want to be seen as. And we want to be seen as one of the gang. We're looking for our tribe. We're looking to meet the expectations of our public that we're seeing. So dress appropriately. We're looking after our bodies, so we're going to dress comfortably, and we're going to make sure we don't end up with distractions throughout the day. We look at our product, make sure our display is really well done. So really well doesn't have to flash, but don't spend your whole day worrying about a table falling over. Fix it right at the beginning. Make sure that if you've got paintings on the wall, that you can get them on and off easily if they're hooked onto frameworks or things. So a little bit of a thought about how am I going to make a sale. Personal presentation, your breath. If you can't get away to eat, make sure you've got mints or something to chew on. Don't chew gum all the time. It really does put some people off. But make sure that you have food and water nearby. Questions. Make sure that when you're talking to people, you're encouraging them to talk to you. They will tell you what they want if you listen. And sales isn't about telling. It is about listening. Tell stories. If they are interested, tell them why you made it, why you love this shape, what it reminds you of, whatever your inspiration was, because that will be the vehicle with which they will share it with others, and they will become your silent salesperson. And by silent, I don't mean they're not going to tell people out loud, but you don't have to be there. They'll keep propagating your sales for you ongoing. Be open. The more reserved you are, the more nervous you are, the more closed in you are, the more people are going to walk away. So it's not hard to just simply say, you know what? Just for a little while, I'm going to be open. And then make sure that you shut up after you've asked for the sale. Give them a chance to talk and think. Don't feel embarrassed and fill the gaps with words. Would you like this one or this one? And then let them answer. Don't go, would you like this one or this one? Because this one's really good for this reason, and that. See, people then, you're giving them a chance to, you know what, I think I might think about it, and they'll wander off. People need to think about it. Don't be offended. Not everyone's going to buy today. But if they want to think about it, well, I tell you what, why don't you take my card? This is the store number we're on, or this is my phone number, or this is my email or my website. Get back to me when you have any other questions answered. So they're the overview for today. Let's see how we go. Good luck with it. And remember, resist the ordinary. Don't do what everyone else is doing.